What's going on YouTube? It's your main man, Mr. Unstoppable, and we back with another video. Y'all see the thumbnail, man. Today we are talking about faith and fear, man. Faith and fear. Now, these two things are very interesting because they're very similar, right? You are allowing yourself in both cases to believe in something that you can't physically see, right? When it comes to fear, you allow yourself to be scared of things that have not transpired, things that could possibly happen but have not happened or taken place, right? Faith is you believing in things that you cannot physically see, but things that are good for you, like things will work out, that type of scenario. So like on one case you have the fear, which you are believing in something that is negative, and faith in which you're believing in something that is positive. They are two sides to the same coin, but most of the time you can't be both at the same time. So that's the thing. You can't be afraid and have faith at the same time, and it's a constant battle. And all y'all know that, man. It'd be a lot of times where things are happening in your life and you like, man, you just start thinking about the worst case scenario. So the thing about fear is this, though. That is, it's very human, and it's wired into our bodies and into our minds and who we are. Fear is very useful when it comes to us, surviving, you know. But it also hinders us a lot too as well, because fear can be utilized to avoid certain things that might put us in danger. Everything that's in us is actually for our benefit. It's just if we use it the wrong way, then it doesn't help us, you know. And fear is that's exactly how fear works. So we have a bunch of thoughts every single day, right? And a lot of times, if you think back to things that you were afraid of, a large percentage of them do not happen. They actually don't take place. You know, we actually suffer a lot more in our minds than we do in real life. You know, you probably had some things that you thought about today when you woke up initially, or sometime at this point, of your day when you're watching this video, that made you afraid, whether it be, bills that are coming, or certain things that happen, that happen in your life, that you place some type of fear on based on things that you have had prior experiences with. And that's where a lot of the fears come from. So if like something happens, if you had, went through a dark alley one time and you got robbed, every time you see a dark alley now, you're like, nah, we're not gonna go do that again because I had a bad experience. So your mind is gonna take you, stop you from going back into that similar place where you had a bad experience, whether it be like bad relationships or like anything. Prior experiences are what create that fear, you know. So you'll start believing. In certain cases, though, there'll be things that kind of have like a similar experience before, but instead of it helping you, it's harming you. So say for instance, like if one of your fears is hindering you from becoming a better person, you know, then so say for instance, like if you want to go work out at the gym, right? But you have this anxiety, you have this fear that people are going to be watching you and looking at you, and which is very normal, because people do have gym anxiety. But that fear of that, because you're projecting that onto the people who are there, that is hindering you from going to go work out. Because if you want to lose 15, 20 pounds or something like that, or you just want to get in shape and you want to do better for your health, that fear is hindering you because you're believing in something that has not occurred yet, and that isn't probably going to occur. Because quite frankly, when you are in the gym, most people, they're not really caring about what you're doing. Everybody's so self-centered on themselves and what they're doing. So that's one instance where you can you fear is you're believing in something that doesn't exist, and it's in a negative way, right? But faith, again, is like the same concept. You're believing in something that hasn't come to pass. And it's hard to go from being a fearful person to being a faithful person. But one thing that you can always do when it comes to that, when you think about fear and faith, right? Think about all the times that you were afraid. Think about all the instances where you projected something that was going to happen and you had the worst case scenario set up in your mind. And then what you did is you went through with whatever it was, despite that fear, and then the thing never even happened. That actually happens a large percentage of the time when we think the bad things are gonna happen. They actually don't, you know? They actually don't happen. So you can use that as a metric. Think back to yourself like, all right, why am I being afraid of this thing? Typically when I'm afraid of something, it doesn't even happen. So let me go through with it, you know? And that's faith. So you're switching from the fear aspect to the faith aspect. But you're having a clear example in your mind to justify the fact that this fear is basically irrational because we suffer. You suffer more in your mind than you do in actual life. And faith is an amazing thing because you can also take that same concept when you thought that something bad was going to happen and then that didn't happen, you can start creating that faith. Or when you want to work towards something but you may have a fear that you might not accomplish it, but there's instances in your life where you have had that same exact scenario happen. You didn't think you was going to accomplish something, but you had faith that you would, and then you continued on, and then you were able to accomplish it. So utilizing your past to understand why you should be less fearful and why you should have more faith is a great practice, because you can always find something that you didn't think you was going to accomplish, but you were able to because you had faith in it, right? I'm also a firm believer that the universe, God, everything, the spiritual, everything that is, the higher power, I would say, which I do believe in God, of course, is conspiring with us, right? The higher power wants us to be prosperous. So everything that does transpire in your life is to your benefit. Now, you might not see it at the beginning, but hindsight is always 20/20, right? So that should also help you with your faith as well, too. Faith is so strong because when you can shut off this, they always say walk by faith, not by sight, right? Because there's things that are always working out for your benefit at the time in a time that you can't see it. The blessings and things like that don't come to you immediately. You have to continue to have faith and do the work necessary to accomplish it, or to have it come to you while it's basically like cooking up. You know what I'm saying? While God is cooking up that thing that God got for you. And then it's just like if you order a package, you know what I'm saying? You check the tracking on it, but there's no tracking though. So like if you order a package, your blessing coming, but you might not know when it's gonna arrive. But you gotta continue to move forward and have faith that whatever it is for you will find you, because that's how things work, you know? So with this example, I want you guys like watching this video to understand that if you are having fear about things, think back to times where you have had fear and those things never came to pass. And then think about the times where you wanted to accomplish something and you stepped past that fear and you walked out on faith and it worked out to your benefit and everything happened, So start to make that shift, because if you have fear, that is a good way to go ahead and switch into the faith aspect, the faith mode. You know what I'm saying? That's your cue right there. All right, I'm afraid of this thing. That's the perfect time to practice faith. Every single time. All right? So if y'all can make that little switch in your minds, it's going to benefit y'all so much. And every time that you are afraid, it's a good time to practice faith, because faith is amazing. And I feel like without it, we never get to where we want to. And then you don't want to be in your mind just suffering a lot for no reason. Because it's gonna have a lot of negative effects on you, right? And you don't want to be walking around like that, stressed out, getting gray hairs at 30 for no reason because you're stressing out, about stuff that's not even gonna happen. You don't use your powers for a negative way. You know what I'm saying? Using them in a positive way, and keep that faith, man, and practice that faith. I know it's hard sometimes, but don't focus more on what you can see. Focus on the things that you don't see, because that's where all the powerful stuff is happening at. All right, that's today's video. As always, man, remember, no obstacle is stronger than the power that you have within. All right, and stay unstoppable. Peace.